Welcome back to Blue Jay Bonsai, and Happy New Year! In this episode, we're going to be looking at the hibiscus forest that I put together almost 1 year ago exactly. In that original video, you may recall, we took a bunch of really inexpensive Hawaiian punch hibiscus from Home Depot. They were actually a present from our good friend Derek, and turned it into this forest. It's actually been pruned back several times before this, not on video, and the very last time was when I brought it in October for the winter. And this leaves us with the jumbled mess we have here today. These hibiscus are real pest magnets, and we definitely have some on our forest here today. So I'm going to take care of that towards the end of the video after I've pruned off most of it. So as usual, I'm going to start by doing a rough prune to get rid of all of the really long growth. Of course, whenever I see a pruning stub from before, I'm going to clean that off, and I'm always going to get rid of that nasty crotch growth. This main tree here in the center of the forest seems to have fallen over a bit to the left. I'd really like to get it standing upright again, so I'm going to use this rock to hold it in place until eventually we repot the whole forest, maybe in the summertime. The back tree has this really long straight piece, so we're going to get rid of that. And actually, I spun the tree around to continue working on the tree in the very back. It's really bushy in here, so we're going to go ahead and do some more directional pruning. And as you can see, this back tree is significantly taller than our lead tree in the front. So this is something we're going to have to work on as well. So I'm looking for spots where I can prune back to an outward facing branch or leaf, so I can get this back tree chopped down to a more reasonable height. There's also a lot of long straight growth on this side branch here, so we're going to go ahead and prune that back as well. So while things are improving, we still need to work on the overall composition, creating sort of a triangle or an offset triangle. So we're going to start with this tree here on the right, using directional pruning and pruning back to an outward facing branch, and reducing the overall height to help with that triangle shape. And then we move over to the left side tree and do the same sort of thing. So that's starting to help. We're starting to get more of a nice triangle here. I do find that the back tree is still a little high. So with the overall shape set up, it's time for the Carnage Cam. Now, I want to apologize in advance, or should I say retroactively. I really should have washed this tree off with soap and water before I started. Ew, those bugs. So taking a quick spin around the forest, we can see it's really starting to shape up and look a lot better. But I think we need a little bit more detailed pruning on the two largest trees, the one out front and the one out back. But before I do that, all of these dried up old leaves that have fallen down here on top of the soil are starting to bug me, so I'm just going to go ahead and clean that up off camera. So now that things have significantly been cleaned up, let's get back to our detailed pruning. And I think what I'm going to do here, it's kind of hard to really see what's happening with the tree out front without the old Peter Chan paper bag or paper towel trick. Now, of course, my paper towel is blue. I just don't know how. How did we get a blue paper towel? Anyways, I find this really helps to isolate the tree from the other trees in the background and lets us get a better look at what's going on. For example, this branch is almost an eye poker. It doesn't come out directly. It does go off slightly off to the side, which, according to John Naka, is just fine in the upper part of the tree. Now, that being said, I am tempted when I repot this to reposition this tree and rotate it so that we can see more of that curve in the trunk, and then that almost eye poker branch would then be going off to the left-hand side there instead. So that's something to think about while we're pruning. Now, that being said, there are some obvious things, such as this really long straight branch here, which we can take back to 2. And on this right side branch, we have quite a bit of a mess going on there. So I'm going to clean out a little bit of crotch growth with this branch hiding here in the crotch. And then continue to clean up any other leaves sticking out in directions I don't want. So this is going to, cause the future branches to grow out away from the main trunk and clean up some of the older, larger leaves. So that's going to be it for our main tree here in the front. So we're just going to quickly spin around to the back and do the same type of thing with the larger tree here in the back. And even though I already significantly reduced the height of this back tree, I'm going to go ahead and take it down even more. And whenever possible, if I spot some old pruning stubs, I'm definitely going to chop those back as well. All right, it's time for another spin on the Ferris wheel here so we can see how everything's looking. And I think it's looking pretty good. So now it's time to take care of those pesky pests. So as usual, I like to put some Dawn dish soap into my sprayer bottle. And actually these pump sprayer bottles are really handy. I got this one at Princess Auto. You really get a nice foam coming out of this sprayer. And I soak the entire tree and the top of the soil to make sure that no pests are left alive. So after letting everything soak for about 5 minutes, I use this other sprayer filled with fresh water, no soap, to rinse everything off. Now, normally I would do all of this in the shower when my wife's not looking, so I don't usually need to use this sprayer for washing soap off. I actually use this for misting all of my indoor tropicals. It really works great. This one I got from Kim's Nature. So it's important to get all that soap off all the trees, the trunks, the branches, and then of course also off the soil. So as great as it is at misting, I don't think it's enough of a water flow to rinse out the soil. So I'm going to use one of my watering cans. But even my little blue hose just doesn't seem to have enough of a volume, I think, or otherwise I would be standing here all day. So I'm going to use Mr. Elephant. He's got a little bit more powerful water flow, and I think I can rinse out all the soil or substrate a lot quicker this way. Of course, if my wife wasn't home, I could do this in the shower with the handheld sprayer, and I'd be done so much quicker. Well, since we've already done a few spins around the turntable, I'm going to try a little bit of a fly-in like Nigel does. Unfortunately, my fly-in skills need a lot of work. Sorry about that. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the pruning of my hibiscus forest and seeing the update. It's been 1 year, and I really think that the ramification is starting to come along nicely. These hibiscus are really fun. They grow nice and vigorous. You can practice your clip and grow techniques to your heart's content on these. And when they flower, they're really beautiful, so a lot of people really appreciate them. The only downside is they're pest magnets, but other than that, I highly recommend them. Thanks for watching, and if you like this type of content, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment to let YouTube know and to let me know you'd like to see more videos like this.